This is Toma, built on strength, sharpened by discipline, grounded in ownership. I'm Jason Bowler. Rest, don't rust. Let's get to work. The last time I worked at a high school, we had a counselor named Mr. Sasser, and he would end every morning announcement with a short story. There was always a nice lesson in there somewhere for the kids, and every announcement was ended with the phrase, "Make it a great day or not. The choice is yours." I believe we have the power to decide to have a great day more so than we give ourselves credit for sometimes. Sometimes we only consider it a great day if everything goes our way, meaning the world throws no curveballs in our direction. And it kind of starts with a mindset that we know we can't control everything, but we can control how we react to things. So, in my view, the very next thing on the list after that mindset that says we understand we can't control everything and that shouldn't tank our day necessarily just because something doesn't go our way. Right behind that is probably, in my view, how we start our day. So, we're going to talk about morning routines today. Stop me if you've heard this one before. Your alarm goes off, you hit the snooze button, or worse, you lose power and wake up to a flashing clock. Now, I'll admit I'm aging myself there because most people put their alarms on their phones now, but you get what I'm saying. Something happens and you're behind the eight ball as soon as you wake up. It pretty much wrecks your whole day. You roll out of bed, you take a shower, you pour some coffee, you grab a donut or something, you run out the door like a scalded ape. You fight your way through traffic, you barely make it to work, and then it seems like the whole rest of the day is off. Does that sound familiar? I think we've all been there, right? Whether it's at being late for school, being late for work, or whatever. So here's the alternative. You get up at your normal time and you give yourself a little bit of room, but you don't give yourself enough room. And you're hitting the snooze button because you're trying to maximize your pillow time, which we've all been there too, right? Now, let's say you're getting ready to go. Let's throw the first curveball of the day because this just happened to me. Well, it happened to my wife. She was getting ready to go to work and the battery was dead in her car. I don't park in the garage. There's no room for my old truck to be in the garage, but there is room for her newer vehicle to be in the garage. And luckily, she had just gone grocery shopping the day before, so she backed in so it would be easier for us to unload groceries because I wouldn't have been able to charge her dead as a hammer battery had she not backed in. But so I charged her battery. She started the day with a dead battery. Thing is, though, she wasn't running out the door late for work when she realized she had a dead battery. So she had a little wiggle room in there for us to get that worked out. Let's throw in a flat tire. Let's throw in a wreck on the interstate. If you've had these things happen to you, again, they're kind of like day ruiners. If you have the wrong mindset, they can be day ruiners, especially if you're already running behind. Okay. And you don't really have a routine other than brushing your teeth, taking a shower, getting dressed, and rolling out. And it's even worse if you didn't have a good night's sleep or maybe you got a little bit of a hangover, right? This is where structure and routine can really help us maximize our day and end up having a better day despite any curveballs that are thrown our way. A solid morning routine is going to look different for everyone. Are some non negotiables in there, but for the most part, this is someone's chance to get their mind right the way they want to get their mind right before they have to go out and take on the world. So, a little disclaimer here because I've recently run into, I guess, people that don't understand generalizations. And so, if I don't go through every freaking scenario and make sure that I acknowledge every special case out of 7 billion people on earth, and somehow, I'm not being a good person. So I understand that there are people that work shift work. I understand that there are people that have kids that have to be in 15 different places at the same time, or that people have longer commutes, or they work 16-hour days and they're trying to get every ounce of sleep they can. I get it. Okay. I'm saying for people that have a pretty steady schedule and have enough time in the mornings to make it happen, A solid morning routine will help make your day better. There are health benefits. We'll get into that as well. So it's going to be unique to you because nobody knows your schedule better than you know your schedule. So if you work graveyards, your morning routine is actually a late evening routine, a 7 p.m. routine if you're only on graveyard shift. If you work the way my mom worked, which was days one week, evenings the next, graveyards the next, it's really hard to have a routine. You're just trying to get by. I get all that. Okay, I'm talking about the day workers primarily, if I'm being honest. So, if at all possible, your morning is going to start actually in the evening the night before. Okay. So, things you can do to maximize a better morning so that you can follow through with your routine and then have that better day is go light on alcohol if you drink at all, or have a strict cutoff time. So I'm not drinking anything after such and such time. Try to go to bed at the same time every night, as close to it as possible. Set your environment up for the best sleep possible. I know if you're like me, you're a box fan junkie. You're an overhead fan junkie and a box fan junkie. And so sometimes when we travel, if we fly, especially, we don't have the capacity to have a box fan with us. It feels like torture to us that are addicted to the fan situation. But if you got the fans, turn them up if that's what you like to do. Limiting your screen time and your liquid, even water intake, for about an hour or so before bed so that you aren't up going to the bathroom all night or trying to turn your brain off based on what you last saw on your phone. Sometimes that can get in your head and have you tossing and turning, waste an hour or so trying to get to sleep. So set yourself up for success when you're getting ready to go to bed, if at all possible. Try to go to bed early enough to where you can allow yourself to get that 7 or 8 hours of sleep that we all need and still have about 45 minutes minimum, again, if possible, before you have to even begin getting ready for the workday. That's 45 free minutes. Like that's all you. That's your time. 45 minutes to an hour the morning before you have to start getting ready for work. Everything that I've read says when you do wake up, grab some water. Before you go to the coffee, grab some water. It doesn't have to be a gallon. It can be a cup, just like a decent amount of water to rehydrate yourself and get your blood flowing, kind of loosen you up a little bit after a night of sleeping. Okay. Expose yourself to natural sunlight if you can, even if it's just opening the curtains while you are having your coffee later on. Bonus points if you can go outside and get some fresh air. If you're going to have breakfast, try to go a little lighter. Try to eat a little healthier on breakfast. I don't know about you guys, but I get what I call the sweet belly. People laugh at me about my friends laugh at me about it because my stomach doesn't like sweet food first thing in the morning. It just is not a good thing for me. I don't feel good at all. If I eat, let's say I got up and ate 4 pancakes at 6 o'clock in the morning, drizzled with syrup and butter, I really just want to go back to bed. It doesn't help me like get ready for the day. That's just me. You may be different. If you got time to cook some eggs, something like that, some kind of protein. When I'm in a hurry, I just grab the oatmeal or whatever, or I don't eat breakfast. Sometimes I don't eat breakfast. Other things, again, avoid the screen times even longer when you first wake up. So avoid it before you go to bed and don't wake up to that as the first thing that you see, especially if you have a tendency to be anxious and you know you're going to see some dumb shit. You don't want to start your day seeing that. Like that's terrible to start seeing just negativity and bad stuff right out of the gate. Give yourself a little time to yourself before you expose yourself to the stupidity of the world. So, a little bit about my routine and how I roll, and you don't have to do any of this. Just an example for you to use. You can if you want to. You can riff all of it if you want to. But this is how I roll in the morning. Obviously, I brush my teeth, I wash my face, I take my old people medicines, and then I drink that water. And then I change into workout clothes, and there's a solid 45-minute workout. It's called 645. It used to be Beach Body on Demand. Now it's just Body that my wife and I do. That's big on. It's a guy named uh, Emilio. It's big on functional strength and stretching. I mean, there's lifting and there's cardio. You're not necessarily going to get jacked doing it. It's really good for people our age because it keeps us functional and keeps us stretched out. You know, we're less likely to have injuries and things of that nature. That takes 45 minutes, 6 days a week. We do that first. Well, actually, my wife gets on the treadmill and then I get up about 15 minutes after she does. She's walking on the treadmill literally right beside where I'm sleeping. And so I don't need an alarm clock. I hear her over there pushing the buttons, beep, beep, going up and down in speed or whatever. Then we get up, do the 45-minute workout. Then she has to get ready before I do. So then I may get on the treadmill or I may wait till later in the afternoon so that I can spread my workouts out. But that 45 minutes is going to happen regardless. And then I drink some more water. And then, me personally, I have 2 books by the couch. I'll sit down and I'll read 1 page from a book called The Daily Stoic, and I'll read 1 page from a book called The Critical Thinking Skills, because no matter how smart you think you are, it's always good to have practice in those things and make sure you're not carrying around any biases or whatever the case may be. While I'm doing that, I'll probably pop my first Dr. Pepper Zero, and my first is usually my last. I try to stick to like 1 a day. That's just me, but if you're a coffee person, which I am when it's super cold outside, but when it starts to warm up like it's getting to be now, I'll just go with the cold beverage, the Dr. Pepper Zero. Then I shower, shave. Sometimes I'll eat breakfast again, sometimes not, usually oatmeal. If I'm feeling froggy, I'll make some eggs. And then, if I feel like it, I might check my socials while I'm eating. For me to check my socials is not necessarily a personal thing. It's for this podcast. I kind of have to keep up with it. I've said this before. That's part of the game that I don't necessarily like doing, but I do it because I'm trying to gain an audience. So you have to put yourself out there. So I have to check all that. Excuse me. At that point, if I come across something stupid, it's not going to upset me nearly as bad because I've burned some energy through exercising. I've gotten a healthy breakfast. I've taken in the water. I got my good night's sleep. I didn't jump straight into it. Just like having done that when I go outside now, my wife's battery's dead. 20 years ago, 15 years ago, maybe 5 years ago, I would have just freaked out, said, okay, it's a Monday on top of that. So it's a Monday. My wife's battery's dead. My neighbor set my yard on fire. It was an accident. They took care of it. No big deal. I don't care about burnt grass. It's just one of those days. Sometimes Mondays are just one of those days. But surprisingly, I don't flip my stuff anymore because I generally have a better mindset because of my morning routine. So we're talking about getting stuck in a rut, and a rut gives the illusion that means stuck in a place where you're not moving, and it is that, or you're stuck in the mundane, and it can be that. But it can also be stuck in the rut of chaos. And so a little bit of structure, a little bit of routine in your life can actually help you get unstuck when you actually embrace a certain amount of daily activities that you do that are non-negotiable to start your day. It actually helps get you out of a rut, even though it may feel boring, it may feel redundant. And so there's that. So how do you set up your own routine? Just start with one good thing. Pick something healthy, even if it's just drinking water before you get to your coffee, and just make that a habit. And then once water is just something you do, not something you make yourself do, pick something else that you know will help make your day go smoother, whether it's exercising, reading, meditation. I remember a long time ago, my dad used to get up at like 4 in the morning, whether he had to work or not. Didn't matter. He was just built like that. But he also went to bed at like 7:30 at night too. And I don't know that he did any exercising or anything like that. And he probably skipped the water. But when he did have his coffee, he generally sat outside, and we had a salt lick set up for deer that we weren't going to shoot that would come up to, and he would just sit back at a distance, and they were practically tame because they never got shot at if they were in our yard. And he would just watch them eat, partake in the salt lick. And that's kind of how he got his mind right. But he was getting the fresh air. He was outdoors, seeing the sun come up. He had his coffee. And he had something cool to look at that has nothing to do with the craziness of the world, just some deer eating, right? So that was his thing. The key is to give yourself enough space in the morning to get your mind right before the world starts demanding things of you or punching you in the face, whatever it's going to do, right? So what are the benefits of this? Why would you even consider doing this? Well, studies show that it helps with mental clarity. You have a clearer mind if you have a good routine in the morning. You have a clearer mind the rest of the day. That's what the studies show. Increased productivity. So when you do get to work, you're more productive. You're more productive with whatever chores you have, whether you're at work or you just have some chores. It's a weekend and you've got chores to do. You have better overall health. You have less stress and anxiety. You're just more capable of handling those curveballs. You're more capable of jacking them out of the park without giving them a second thought. Things don't aggravate you as much. And that's the joy of a good solid morning routine. So if you have a solid routine that's unique to you, a solid morning routine that's unique to you, please reach out and let me know what you're doing. I've heard some pretty unique morning routines from people over the years, and I'd be interested in hearing more. So if you got something that's cool that you do in the morning that kind of helps get your mind right, whether it's sitting Indian style in the yard and meditating as the sun comes up, or a certain type of book you like to read, or just anything that you do to help improve your mornings, please reach out and let me know what that is. I would be interested to hear that. All right, that's it for this week. Have a good one. If this episode meant something to you, pass it on, subscribe, leave a review, share it with someone who needs it. Strength is built daily. Rest when you must, but don't rust. We'll see you next Tuesday.